Hello, Poisonies. A quick note before the madness begins. This episode was originally recorded on the 9th of June 2021, but it did not air for over a week due to the sudden passing of our good friend and fellow podcaster Dan from Real Life Ghost Stories. Nick and I wanted to take a very short moment to pay tribute to Dan. Both he and Emma from Real Life Ghost Stories helped us and many other shows get started, and they have been relentlessly generous with their support to hundreds of people across the world. Dan was a really, really good person. Very talented, very funny, and he was always interested in and cared about other people. We're very glad to have called him a friend, and he will be very sorely missed. Now, we should also point out that at the time of recording this week's episode, everything was fine with the world. Hence, the episode is played out in our usual manic style. Thank you, and thanks, Dan. Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and macabre murders from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 67.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa. You know what's also very exciting?
What's that? Don't possibly know.
We're in the same room.
It's madness. Utter madness.
Yes. We could have been in the same room recording for some time now, couldn't we? But
yes, but we're responsible people.
We base this entirely on the fact that we could go out for drinks afterwards.
Yeah, well, there is that as well.
Yeah. Yay! Yes. Oh, we're in the same room. How are you, Nick?
I'm all right.
I can see you.
Yes, hello. It's very weird.
Ooh, yeah.
Not just through a TV screen now.
Yeah, I'm remembering why we did this in isolation.
Yeah, no, it's so much better without you here.
Okay, it got real there. It got real. Went a little bit close to the bone.
Well, I could do it in my pants before. I can't do like that now.
But then why are you? Did you ever actually do the episodes?
I didn't.
No, you didn't. Neither did I.
Nice to have the option. It's good to have options. Oh, it's hot and I'm a bit tired. Fuck it, I do. Take my trousers off. Let's go mad.
I don't think we'd ever do that online because there's just still a level of just, no, this is weird. That time I accidentally shouted up the stairs and you were in the bathroom and you said, I'm naked, and we both screamed. I didn't even see you. I was like, the thought of it. No, can't talk to you while you're naked. That's just wrong.
Absolutely. None of that.
Any poisonings this week?
Or possibly me.
Possibly you. Okay, Nick decided to do a COVID test just before we started recording. Chooses the one time I come round to the house to go, I might have COVID, but, let's hit the gamble button on that.
I've done them before, and they've all come back negative so far, but I thought, you know what?
Okay, it's not an actual, school test.
I thought I'd give it a go. And I keep on looking over now.
You just keep looking over.
I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die.
We can have a live diagnosis during the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got about 20 minutes and then we'll see if I am going to die.
Oh, good. Well, speaking of being in the same room and not dying together, I think it's time for us to thank our Patreon subscribers. Thank you, Patreon subscribers, because we love them.
We do indeed. They are marvellous. Unfortunately, we have no new members this week.
That makes us sad.
Horrendously damages the Poisonous Cabinet.
Does it?
The actual cabinet is now lacking booze.
Oh, yes, exactly. We haven't had our crust for the week.
Exactly.
That you can just stop up on maraschino liqueur like the peasant you are. You have to live with just regular liqueurs.
Exactly.
Opening tiny chocolates and pouring them into your drinks.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea. I like that.
I'm all about the ideas.
Yeah, no, that's cunning.
Thank you to our lovely, lovely Patreon subscribers, everyone who has been out and who has been commenting on all of the episodes. We've had great fun as ever this week. Another great story, a modern story from Nick.
It was indeed. No, it was an interesting one this week.
Yeah.
And I'm quite intrigued by the most responses we've had on Patreon around sneezing.
Yes, around sneezing. Sneezing fetishes. We didn't know it's a thing.
We didn't know it was a thing. Apparently it's a thing. Nothing to do with the episode itself, but let's go with it.
And that's why being a Patreon subscriber is amazing, because you learn something as well as having some fun. Tell your friends, and if you haven't decided to subscribe to Patreon, now's the time to do it, because we're telling you, it's not that now is a particularly good time, it's just great.
It's just marvellous. It's a fun place to be.
Exactly.
Filled with more of my ramblings.
And mine too.
And yours too.
Yeah, but you don't really listen to those.
No, what I meant is, I ramble more. You are more succinct and to the point. I go off on tangents and fall over things.
And it's fun. In lieu of new Patreon subscribers this week, we have
got a couple of shout-outs.
Oh, well, hurrah!
From our lovely, loyal, beautiful, beautiful listeners. So the first shout-out we have is from a double whammy of Patreon subscribers.
Ooh.
From the wonderful Colette Wade, who wants to do a shout-out for her sister Jenny. Jenny Wade, we know you listen to the show. We know you two are twins. Ugh, are you evil?
Evil twins. Which one is evil?
Which one is evil? You tell us. Right in.
Yes.
So it's Jenny and Colette's birthday on the 13th. Happy birthday to Jenny and to Colette. Thank you so much for listening. You've been wonderful, wonderful fans. We love you so much.
Indeed. Happy birthday to you.
And second shout out from lovely Natalie Evans, Patreon subscriber, who wants to do a shout out to her sister Jenny, who gave birth to a gorgeous baby boy this week, literally while we were recording the Patreon episode. It's fate. Call him something poisony.
Absolutely.
Call him Hemlock.
Or Crippen.
Oh, no, don't call him
Crippen Jr.
Crippen Jr. Crippen the Third.
Crippen the Third.
But Jenny is a secondary school maths teacher. She worked up until a week before her due date. She is a goddamn hero. Just so she could see the year 11s to the end of school. Oh, that is dedication. Huge shout out for all the teachers out there. Jenny, you are a legend. You were doing that carrying a baby, and now you have a beautiful baby boy. Congratulations!
Hurrah for you.
Well, Nick.
Hello.
Well, Nick.
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Are you ready
Yep.
to drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Ooh, a cocktail with another person in the same room? What luxuries.
Or, to be safe, if the COVID test comes out positive,
I have to kill myself with poison.
we could drink poison and talk
Well,
about cocktails.
if it comes to that, then that's a distinct possibility.
Yes, and if the sound is weird on it, it's because literally Nick is just turning away from the mic every 6 seconds to stare at the test. A watched test never shows it's positive, Nick.
Good. I shall watch
It's
it
a
more.
well-known phrase,
It's a
isn't it?
well-known phrase.
Okay then, well, COVID test pending, but we
Right.
can't possibly tell a story without a cocktail in hand. Them's the rules.
Them's is the rules.
And it's Nick's story this week, so Nick got to choose the secret ingredient.
I did.
And this week's secret ingredient is...
Stones.
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 Interesting.
Yes. Tasty. Not so much.
I
But
just keep
interesting.
thinking of the Monty Python sketch about what floats. Very small rocks.
Well, it's small rocks.
I don't know why that's the only thing I'm thinking of. Stones. We had a few guesses on Instagram.
We have, yeah.
Very nice for the people who said whiskey stones. That gift that
That's-
you never use.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I don't see the point of those at all. Well, then I don't drink whiskey, so perhaps they do have a point, but it just goes over my head.
There's a lot of things you don't do. You don't see the point of.
To be honest, if I don't see the point of them, then get rid of them.
If it's cocktail related.
If they
or
have
drink
no
related.
use to me personally, then fuck them.
So Nick has made his feelings about whiskey stones abundantly clear, I fear. So they had stones. There were a couple of stone-based cocktails.
We
Or
did.
a hobo soup that you put stones
I was
in.
intrigued by that.
Yeah.
A stone soup, well, apparently is a thing. Well, I don't know. If you're living the hobo lifestyle, you put all your random booze into a big pot,
And then stir it with stones.
and I don't know where the stone comes in.
Oh, is it called stone
I think
soup?
it's called stone soup, and it's like bits of everything,
Oh,
whatever you
right.
got left.
Oh, right. I didn't read that right. I just was like, that's a hard life on the road.
Well, yeah, there's that fairy tale about the stone soup.
What?
Have you not heard of this?
No.
Why? Perhaps it's famous in my head.
Is it a dream?
But there's a story about a chef who goes to some medieval king and saying, "I can make soup out of marvellous stones," and the king goes, "Okay, then if you don't, I'm going to cut your head off." So I'm going to tell this really badly. Look it up; it's great. It's a great story.
No, I'm on tenterhooks now. What happened?
So all the chef's going, "Oh yes, to make the perfect stone soup, I need some of this, that, and that to add to it, some sort of vegetables and things."
He's a shit chef.
Well, no, he's a very clever chef because he doesn't want to get his head cut off. So he's going to make great stone soup. I need some vegetables. And the king goes, "Oh, okay, fine, then we'll let you have some vegetables." And he goes, "To make it even better, I'm going to need some seasoning." And he goes, "Oh, fine, then I'll let you have that." And to make it perfect, I need like a chicken. So the king goes, "Yeah, all right then." And then you have some lovely soup. And the king goes, "Oh, this is lovely stone soup." It's a great story.
Why did the chef just turn up to
I
make
think
soup?
I think there was a competition of making the best soup or something. I can't remember why.
The king set a competition. Whoever makes the best soup
No,
shall wed
I'm
my
going-
daughter.
No, yeah, well, I think it's something weird like that. Yeah, it always is in fairy tales.
The way you said it was like some cordon bleu chef just turns up at the house going, "I'm going to make stone soup. Actually, I'm going to make chicken soup. And it's going to blow this guy's mind." Who
Yeah,
are you?
well, I'm not very good at telling stories.
No, it's a great story. I love it. That's the best thing I've heard all day.
So now I'm going to Google stone soup and find out where it came from. Shut up. See, the stone soup is a European folk story. See, it is a real thing.
It's all true.
It's all very, very
And the
true.
king made him a king, and he wed his daughter, and they lived on soup forever.
Yes, look it up. It's a great story. I might do it on Patreon, just read it.
I think you should, actually. We want to hear a dramatic telling of the stone
Dramatic
soup.
telling of the
Well,
stone
it's
soup.
not stone soup, is it?
Oh, it's not that, no. It's not that at all. So
But
why did you get me on this tangent?
Because I think it's the emotional journey we were all hoping
I'm
for
sorry, I
today.
entirely forgot what it is called.
Well, with stones as your inspiration and the folklore of Europe to back you up, what have you come up with, Nick?
So, this week, we're having blood from a stone.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Blood from a stone.
Blood from a stone. We're having a cocktail, blood from a stone.
Oh, it's like trying to get a kind word out of you.
Yes, pretty much. Yes, indeed.
Blood from a stone, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here for it.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh, is it going to be another brown one?
We'll find out, won't we? Nah.
Quick check.
Nah.
Do you have COVID?
No.
Good. So far, no.
So far, no.
So, for the first time in a long time, we're not going to our isolation kitchens.
Indeed not.
It is time for us to go to the Poisoner's Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So, we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Ooh, the blood from a stone. Now, it's not brown.
It's not brown.
It's red.
It's red. What is bloody?
It's bloody. Okay.
Bloody. So, yes. If it was blood from a stone and it was blue, you'd be going,
Blue blood.
oh, okay, it was green.
Yeah, there we are. There we are. Then I would have questions, and I
Yes.
think that person was very sick. But yes, it's bloody looking.
blood.
It's not. Yeah, it's a pretty cool bloody colour.
Yeah.
It looks chilling. Looks interesting. But I'm not allowed to know what's in it. We have
course
to do
not.
the sniffy, tasty test thing.
That's how it works.
So I'm gonna smell first. Oh, it smells fruity.
Smells of a cocktail.
Smells of a cocktail. Okay, so is it time for us to dive in?
Give it a go.
All together. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Right.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Both said, ooh.
Ooh. You've timed our reactions out. Oh, I like that.
It's interesting.
Now I said I wanted sharp and tart, and you gave it to me.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is tart. That is tart is the word for it.
I'm surprised it's that tart, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it.
That's good.
I'm not complaining. Yes, tart is the only
Yeah.
word for it.
Well, it's-
That cross between sour and sharp.
A lot of them we've had recently have been the sort of cognac-y, bourbon-y ones, which have been quite rich and heavy, sort of. But this is a crisp and punchy.
Fruity explosion.
Yeah.
So, this is nice. Are you going to tell me what's in it, or do I have to guess?
Go, give it a go.
Okay. I'm thinking there's a sour fruit in there, so is there something cherry related?
Oh, good shout.
Good
shout.
That's the only thing I can think of when I'm thinking of tart sort of fruit. So cherry and maybe maybe I don't know if it's got maraschino in it, but
It
maraschino?
hasn't got maraschino. No.
Cherry brandy?
It has got a cherry brandy.
Cherry brandy.
Nicely done.
Very
Nicely done.
nice. Yeah. The other things, maybe a juice.
There is a
citrusy juice.
citrusy juice going on.
And a sausage. I went too far.
Oh, I want a sausage now.
Yeah, I could use a snack. Tell me what's in it.
So we do indeed. We have cherry brandy. So
Yeah.
good shout on that one. We have gin.
Ooh, okay.
There's some gin going on there.
Oh,
we
right.
have lemon juice.
Lemon.
We have some red vermouth. But this one is a really hefty, punchy red vermouth, this one. It's a Punta Mez. Quite a small quantity. It's, compared to the other ingredients, it's quite small. There is some sugar syrup. It has sugar in there to balance it out.
Sweetness.
And a little splash of red wine.
Red wine.
Yeah.
How much red wine is in there?
There is literally about a third of an ounce.
Oh, well, that's nothing. Yeah.
So
There we
it
are.
is a very, very small quantity.
But it does give it a beautiful colour, so maybe that's what's adding to
Well,
it.
I don't know, because you've got the red vermouth, which will be red, and the cherry brandy, which is red, and the red wine, which is red.
So it's red.
So you've got
We've
a lot of red things
established that.
going on there. It's an interesting addition to have that red wine. But we've had that before, in the JFK Harris, which was the gin and lemon, and that red wine float, which you would think that would never work in a million years, and it was one of the best cocktails in the world ever.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
And it really works.
We've had a couple of ones with a splash of red wine in there, and it always worked.
Yep,
and you
absolutely.
wouldn't think you would go, that's insane, red
Yep.
wine and gin and brandy. No.
But it does. So
No, that's really tasty. And again, it's not overly sweet. It is. It's tart. It's sharp. So the lemon juice. For some reason, I think the combination of flavors. I thought there was maybe a bit of orange juice in there or grapefruit juice.
No. It's
Because it's quite sour, but it's good. I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the sugar syrup is. This is one when often we go throw out the sugar syrup. You
I think you
definitely
need it in
it.
that, because I think it would be you turn your face inside out with the sourness if you didn't have that. I mean, it literally is. It's 1/6 of an ounce of sugar.
Yeah.
So again, it's a tiny, tiny drop.
Just enough.
But it just balances that out.
Delicious.
I think it's very nice. Not one I've had before. One I'll have again.
That is a resounding success. That's
Yeah.
a really good, like an aperitif. Like if someone came round before a dinner party
I think that would be a nice thing to serve, a refreshing
Delightful.
drink. It would sharpen the appetite.
Absolutely. I'll get the butler on it.
You'd love a butler, wouldn't you?
Oh, God, yeah. They made me cocktails. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You'd like the kind of butler who's in that episode of Frasier.
And brought me Ferrero Rocher.
On a tray.
On a
or
tray.
piled up in a big triangular shape.
Absolutely.
Would draw you a bath.
And I would take the bottom one and go, ha 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 ha, as they topple down and he would
And the
scramble.
butler would cry. Yes. Well, that's nice.
My mean streak coming out again.
Clearly, this cocktail has done terrible things to you. Well, that is delicious. Blood from a stone. A resounding success. Yep. I like it. Mix one of those up. The recipe will be out on Friday. Oh my God, I've just realised that further to the dinner party plot is you mix one of these up, you've opened a little bit of red wine, and you serve the red wine with dinner.
It's meant to be.
Perfect. That's your Friday night sorted, people. Well, with our bloods from a stone firmly in hand.
Yes, indeed.
Is it time for story news?
It most certainly is.
Right.
Most certainly is. Well, the very exciting news that I still don't have COVID.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank the good Lord.
Indeed. So, several of the cases that we have covered on the podcast so far have laid claim to the title of America's first serial killer. So we've had people like Henry Holmes, like Jane Topham, like first female serial killer.
Julie Jane.
All these firsts and things. But so far, I think we can say that none of those claims have been anything but boasts or wild media claims in papers and things like that. Something to sell papers.
Speculation.
Speculations indeed. But this week we are going to remedy those misconceptions and reveal, in fact, the first known serial killers in the US were a team.
A duo.
We were a duo. Were two men known as the Harpe Brothers.
Oh my God, okay.
And their crimes are actually some of the most brutal in American history and spanned decades. And I'm going to say now, this does go to some pretty grim places. So be warned.
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. It's going to get nasty.
Okay. I love it that we do this because some of our listeners ask for a trigger warning. They say, honestly, we don't really love these details. It's like, fine, we'll give you a warning. 90% are pulling up their chairs right up to wherever they're listening onto the wireless.
Yes, indeed.
Just rubbing their hands, getting their cocoa going, yes!
So, now, the first thing to know, the Harpe brothers aren't actually brothers.
Liars.
They are, in fact, cousins. They are Micah and Wiley. Micah is the elder of the two and is born in Scotland in 1748. Wiley born about 2 years later.
Ooh, 1700s.
So they're born before America was a thing. America did not exist at this point. British colony.
It very much did exist before this point.
Yes, not as the United States of America.
No, it was the place that all the people who lived there for a long, long time.
Did not exist as the United States of America.
As the United States of America, it didn't exist.
The continent was still there.
Yes. The Native Americans are all going,
Now, it is just after Wiley's birth that both the boys' parents, their fathers, were in fact brothers, making them cousins. But they all decide to move across to America.
Yay.
And they settle in Orange County in North Carolina. As soon as they arrive, they are not overly popular.
Oh.
They are staunch British loyalists. Which does not ingratiate themselves too much with their neighbours.
No, it's not going to go down well.
Doesn't go down overly well, but they try and make a life for themselves there. Now, as you said, growing up, the boys are quite inseparable, which led to people to assume they were indeed brothers. They spent all their time together.
I do imagine that they've all moved over. There's a big Scottish flag being hung outside, and then the Union Jack as well, and also the St George's Cross, like covering all the bases from Catholicism to Protestants. They're all wearing wife beaters and drinking Stella.
Pretty much.
Which was the style at the time.
It was the style of the time. Now, as they grew, Micah was the taller and more muscular of the two lads, and he's named Big Harpe. Well, the surname is Harpe, so he's Big Harpe.
Oh, Big Hop. I thought you said something else there.
No, I didn't. That was
I thought you said Big Hop, and I was like, well,
Yes.
he hopped a lot.
He hopped a lot. He only had one leg.
That's why he was muscular. He had such upper body strength to compensate.
And Wiley, who was the smaller of the two, with bright red hair he had, so desperately stereotypically Scottish, and he is known as a Little Harpe, and he is the smarter of the two.
Oh, it's always the little one.
So
who's
he's the little
smarter.
one. He's got the brains. He's got the cleverness. The big one is a bit of like.
Yeah, he's got so much body mass that there's only one tiny brain to power all of that.
Exactly. It's Little Harpe who he's got the smarts. Now, even as children, the two boys are known to have a bit of a violent streak, bullying the other kids, getting into fights. As they get a bit older, in 1775, the pair, looking to make their own way in the world, steal a horse with the plan on moving to Virginia to find work overseeing plantation slaves.
Oh, okay.
A job that generally attracted those with a more vicious side and a more violent nature, and they thought that's a great job to have.
So they stole a horse to start off well,
Yes, absolutely.
and then thought, you know what we should do? We should go and be bastards to slaves.
Pretty much. So you have the measure of them as young men. However, the outbreak of the American Revolution puts their new career path on hold. Now, the pair have been raised as loyalists, and they soon sign up as British irregulars or British guerrillas. They're not officially members of the armed forces, but they are encouraged to cause as much chaos and mayhem in the name of the king as they possibly can.
It's not an official job.
Not an official job.
Could you just go around fucking shit up?
Pretty much, yeah, absolutely. Just
Yes.
go and cause as much chaos as you can.
Very much a directive from Mad King George.
So, in the middle of a war, they are now entirely free to unleash all their violent urges and wants. They do actually fight in a few sort of like pitched battles, but mostly they are there. They raid farms and small towns, travelling merchants, killing, raping, stealing, burning down property of sort of known or suspected patriots, and it's all great jolly fun. It is reported at the start of the fighting, the two young men, while at home, witnessed their families being attacked and lynched by pro-independence neighbours.
Right.
Which generally spurs them on to rather greater and more violent acts of retribution against these people who have killed their family.
Okay.
In one raid in North Carolina, Wiley was caught attempting to rape a woman and is shot by a Captain James Wood.
Good for him.
Good for him, absolutely. Now, Wiley, he flees and he recovers from the wound, but he will not forget it. He does like to hold a grudge. Now, after the British defeat at Yorktown in 1781, the war is officially over. But fighting between the Loyalist and the Patriot gangs continues to cause chaos. More in the countryside and the more rural areas, there's still fighting going on. And the Harpe Brothers are very much part of that. But with nowhere to go, their family is dead, and it is well known that they fought on the side of the British. They are not welcome in many places.
Oh, it's quite the saga.
Indeed. Eventually they are taken in by the Chickamauga Cherokees. I probably pronounced that terribly wrong. Native American offshoot of the Cherokees, who had also fought alongside the British. These particular people had fought alongside the British as well and recognised kindred spirits with the Harpe Brothers and welcomed them into their village of Nickajack.
Very nice.
Which is an excellent name for a village.
Very, very good name.
The Harpes and the Chickamaugans continued raiding settlements in Tennessee and Kentucky, stealing, killing, raping as they go. It is known that during this time with the Cherokee that Micah develops a preference for using a tomahawk to split his victims' skulls open with a single blow. And he is trained well in the use of this particular weapon. During a couple of these raids that they partake in, the Harpes kidnap two women, Maria Davidson and Susan Wood. Susan is the daughter of Captain Wood, who shot Wiley previously.
Oh, come on.
Years before. So as I said, Wiley holds a grudge. The brothers keep these women as very unwilling wives. And during the time they live in the Nickajack village, both Davison and Wood fell pregnant twice. And each time they gave birth, the Harpes would kill the newborn infants. I said it got grim, so apologies. But it's it's incredibly horrid.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. In 1794, the American troops track down the source of these raids and plan an ambush on Nickajack to finally get rid of these people who are raiding and causing such mayhem and chaos and death. Now, somehow the Harpes get wind of this attack and they flee the village with their wives, in very much inverted commas.
Very much inverted commas, yes.
Their victims, and they seem to leave the Native Americans to their own devices and to their own fate. They abandon and do a runner. Now, for a while, the Harpes, they live in a camp in the woods, continuing to raid nearby towns, but on a slightly smaller scale, because it's just the four of them now. So they continue to raid for supplies, but then it also seems to be just for the sheer joy of let's go out and kill some people. It's fun. Let's go and burn some houses down, burn some farms, kill some livestock. Why the hell not? It's a Tuesday. Type thing. But this nomadic lifestyle cannot last forever.
Yeah.
And in 1797, the Harpes and their wives move into a small cabin outside of Knoxville. And for a time, it looks like they are trying to stick on the right side of the law. They settle down in the cabin. They start farming hogs, as one does.
Lovely. Pig farmers.
Wiley marries the local minister's daughter.
What?
Presumably consensually, Susan Rice. And Micah legally marries his captive Susan Wood.
Oh, God.
In a church with reverend and all.
And a gun.
Potentially. And he also takes Maria as a not-so-secret second wife.
Oh, for God's sake. These poor women.
Yes, I mean, these women are not doing well in this at all. They are suffering.
They haven't got a choice.
They have absolutely no choice whatsoever.
Given what they've done to children.
Yeah.
Oy.
No, they have no say in any of this whatsoever.
I don't like it.
I said it got grim. Now, but we don't know if hog farming just turned out not to be for them. Perhaps they weren't cut out to be hog farmers.
They had one pig.
They had one pig and it was too much. Or perhaps even they just could not suppress their love of burning stuff and killing people. But soon they begin stealing livestock from neighbouring ranches and things like that. Again, as we've seen in a couple of episodes recently, why earn stuff when you can steal it?
Exactly. It's just, they've got stuff over there. They did all the hard work.
Yeah.
We can just take it.
We could just take it. But if anyone dares to accuse them or demand their animals back, the Sharps simply, out comes the tomahawk. In it goes into your head.
It's a gang warfare, isn't it? Kind of.
These rural settlements are lawless and violent places, and no one really bats an eyelid too much. You don't stick your nose in other people's business. If you do, you're going to get an axe in the face. So
it's not one to inquire after a cup of sugar.
Indeed not. Indeed not.
No, if you went round and said, "Hello, I seem to be out of maraschino liqueur for my cocktails pre-dinner. Could you please..." Okay, you're holding a tomahawk.
I'll go.
Clearly you're a gin household. And I shan't bother you anymore. Fairly well.
But one night a man does do just that.
Goes round for cocktails.
No. He confronts the Harps. They are in a tavern in Knoxville, and he confronts them. Not with cocktails, probably not. Whiskey, I would imagine. One night a man named Johnson confronts the Harp. He is convinced that they have done away with some of his animals, and he wants them back. A heated argument ensues, during which Johnson pulls out a knife, and in the fight that came, Wiley gets stabbed. And now, clutching his bleeding chest, Wiley and Micah run from the tavern. But
leaving their martinis
and maraschino liqueurs, yes, and their small plates that no doubt accompanied these lovely cocktails.
The classic tavern of the time: a selection of small plates and some Negronis and a chilled dessert wine.
Absolutely,
followed.
They left all that behind.
Oh, that sounds awful. That's the worst crime. No, it isn't.
Now, as we have established, the brothers do hold a grudge. They are not ones to let things go.
I would be annoyed if I was stabbed.
Yeah.
But everyone had reason to stab him.
I think there was a lot of reasons for stabbing them, indeed. But they wait outside the tavern, where they wait for Johnson, and when he finally leaves, they ambush him. The Harps dragged him into the woods, killed him, out comes the tomahawk, and in what will become known as the Harps' rather gruesome MO, Johnson's urine-soaked body, so they pissed all over him, is found in the river, disemboweled, and his body stuffed with stones.
Stones! Oh!
Yes, indeed. Very much blood from a stone.
Oh.
Blood-covered stones.
So they put him in the river, disemboweled him, stuffed him with stones. That would sink him.
So it turns out
he was covered in piss.
They peed on him before he died as a sort of act of humiliation.
I don't think you pee into the river. No. Yeah.
No. Killed him, disemboweled him, stuffed him full of stones, chuck him in the river.
That would send a message.
Would send a message. And indeed it did. But for the first time in their quite long criminal careers so far, they actually... For the first time, they're actually slightly afraid. This has not been done as they are nomadic people wandering around. They are established in this town. They have a cabin, they have a little ranch. People know who they are.
They have pissed on their own doorstep.
They have indeed, absolutely, pissed on their own doorstep. There's a very real possibility that they're going to get arrested and hanged for murder for this. There were plenty of witnesses in the tavern that saw this brawl ensue where Wiley got stabbed. So, yeah, they are the first people that people are going to go to when
Yeah.
they discover that Johnson is dead. The Harps flee. They, along with their wives, they pack up and flee into the wilderness. Now they are back in their more familiar nomadic lifestyle, their untraceable lifestyle, and they go right back to their old ways. Instead of raiding villages and towns, which is quite a risky prospect at this point, without a war as cover, they just begin ambushing travellers along the wilderness road, it was known as, that ran between Tennessee and Kentucky. As they were travelling, often they would pretend to be travellers themselves, and they would befriend their victims on the road. And when these poor travellers had let their guard down to their new chums, out comes the tomahawk, off comes your head.
So there's just people wandering along, and then they all troop out of the undergrowth, looking ramshackle, going, with the knapsack on my back, la la la. Oh, hello, fellow hiker. Where are you off to? Nowhere.
Pretty much.
How much gold do you have on you? Sorry, what's your name? What's your name? Oh, it's that. How much gold do you have on you? Yes, tomahawk.
It's exactly that, and once they have stolen their victims' money and possessions, they would slit their stomachs open, disembowel them, stuff them full of stones, into the river. And they did seem to enjoy this particular method of corpse disposal.
Did they think they were being clever? That
I think
they
essentially
were
did.
trying to
They
sink
were trying
them?
to
Because
sink-
that's the best thing, is to
Yeah.
empty out. Well, not the best thing. I
Well,
really
it is.
wouldn't know.
Well, no, because I think if you... this is me watching Bones a lot.
This is it. The same sort of thing is that if you take out the innards and then you fill with, you're removing the air.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
And
weighing
gonna
them
sink
down with
down.
the stuff. This is what the exact conversation they had on the side of the
Now,
road.
did you see that episode of Bones last week?
Their three wives are in the background going, "This is awful. What are you doing? People are going to catch you."
Yes.
Actually, carry on. We're fine with
We're
that.
fine. Go for it.
So just very extravagant way of.
Yeah, indeed.
But then clearly the bodies were found.
But indeed, the bodies were found.
Okay, so not such a
So
good way.
they washed up on the shores at some point.
I suppose if you're not around to see it or hear about it, you think it was brilliant.
Yes, absolutely. They don't stick around now, and they're much more nomadic now. They don't stick around in one place.
Yeah.
They've killed someone, then they're off hunting the next person.
Exactly. It's not big rocks they're putting in, maybe gravel.
Yes, perhaps some small pebbles,
Yeah. And they float. Very small rocks.
as we have established. But this nomadic lifestyle is not fun and sunshine forever. When the winter hits, one bitterly cold morning, the two brothers and the three wives, all three of whom are visibly pregnant at this point, walk into a Kentucky inn, desperate for some warmth and a meal. In the inn, they find a good Samaritan, a chap named John Langford. He has been staying at the inn himself, and he takes pity on the ragged group of travellers, and he buys them breakfast. He says, "Come, sit by the fire. I'll pay for you to have a bath and get cleaned up and stuff like that." This act of kindness, of course, seals his fate. Now, the Harps sense that Langford has a good deal of money on him. If he can afford to buy strangers breakfast and pay for baths and things like that, he's obviously got a bit of spare cash. So, as payment for his generous hospitality, they offer to escort him along the wilderness road. They are travelling in that direction. "We will come with you. We will look out for you." I mean, they told him. I mean, there are some very, very nasty people on that road.
God.
And he goes, "My God, thank you so much for your help. How brilliant that you came along.
This
Would
is
love
too
to travel."
sad. He bought them breakfast. He gave them croissant.
He gave them croissant and
Some more small plates. He made them an omelette. He gave them free passage to the omelette bar. Oh no, I don't know. I don't like that at all.
Langford leaves with the Harps.
No, don't.
The next
don't.
time he is seen, his torso is stuffed with stones, like so many of the others.
Oh God! And they walked off. He probably died going, "Why?
Why?
Oh, no. Poor Langford. He's the most noble man in America. You don't know Langford's backstory. He may have killed a lot of people.
Absolutely. But we don't know how he made his money, slaves.
Exactly.
Probably
He could have just
all
been going
manner
from
of
town to
unpleasantness.
town.
Arms
running.
dealing during the war, you don't know.
He was the one who cancelled Star Trek.
Now, fortunately, many witnesses saw Langford leave the inn with the Harps, and all of the Harps, including the pregnant women, are arrested on Christmas Day, 1798.
Good. No turkey for them.
No turkey for them in jail. Now, while they are awaiting trial, the three women give birth in jail.
Oh, good God.
So that's a jolly Christmas for them.
That's a day. I don't think it was probably on Christmas Day.
Probably not on Christmas Day,
Few
maybe
days
New
apart.
Year's Day. Very soon afterwards, the Harpe Brothers escape, leaving their wives incarcerated.
Yes. Actually, probably good for the wives.
Probably good for the wives, absolutely. Now, a gang is assembled to hunt the fugitives down. But before they can be found, the son of one of these gang members is found murdered. His body mutilated and filled with rocks. The governor of Kentucky places a $300 reward on both their heads.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, absolutely.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
That's more money than people can count.
Yes, indeed. Now, meanwhile, the Harpe's wives, now with newborn children, are still in jail. They are tried for their involvement in the brothers' crimes and the brothers' murders. The women plead not guilty.
Yeah.
They have been stolen away from their families, forced into this horrible, horrible existence with these evil men. They are not responsible for any of it. They are just trying to survive. As you would expect, they are fully acquitted. The judge takes pity on them. The city, in fact, gives them a horse and tells them to return to your families. Have a horse.
There's 6 of them.
There's 3. Yes,
There's three women
and 3
3
children.
babies. 1 horse.
1 horse.
That's a dick move, quite frankly, by that judge. You got 1 horse.
You got 1 horse.
Make it work. What do we do with the 1 horse? This is more trouble than it's worth.
Perhaps the babies go on the horse. The women walk.
The babies are newborns. Their newborns will fall off.
I'm not thinking they're going to hold on to the reins. I'm thinking some sort of basket may be in order.
That's what I mean. Is that if you give 3 women, oh good, you can go back. We've given you 1 horse. This is more trouble than actually us just hitching a ride somewhere. We've got to take this fucking horse.
Well,
this is all the money we have in horse form.
Hold that thought. As they go,
Yeah.
the women sell the horse.
Oh, thank God.
They buy a canoe.
That was stupid. What?
And with their infants in tow, they float down the Ohio River to a pre-arranged spot to meet their husbands.
No. What? What in the shit? What?
Yes.
Oh, my God. So they were in on it.
Well, some people think that this demonstrates that the women are indeed willing accomplices of all these crimes. The other school of thought is that it's some sort of Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
They have been
battered
so
wife syndrome.
indoctrinated about relying on these 2 people that that's the only option that they have.
Quite frankly, if you've given birth and the men you have to stay married to murder your baby, you're going to be fucking terrified of them.
Absolutely. God,
what will
absolutely.
they do to you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I think with actual newborn infants, perhaps they just don't know how they can survive without their husbands providing a bit of food or something.
Well, that's it. These are abused women who have just literally been taught you will do nothing without me. Oh no.
So they
could
go
have
back.
gone.
They
fled.
They could have fled.
The horse was probably a good idea in hindsight.
But they don't. They get a canoe and they go to meet their husbands. Now, for whatever reason they do, the Harpe clan is reunited and on the run from the law. They make their way north, killing another 5 people over the course of 2 weeks.
Fine. Okay.
As you do. And they make their way to southern Illinois, to a place named Cave-in Rock.
Oh, okay. Cave-in Rock.
Cave-in Rock.
The rock fell down.
The rock fell down, but there is a big cave there. And in the cave is a gang of river pirates.
Oh, yay! We don't have enough pirates on the show.
We don't have enough pirates. Led by a man called Samuel Mason. They live in the giant cave. They prey upon the steamboats along the Ohio River.
That is brilliant.
Brilliant.
We love some pirates in a cave.
We love pirates in a cave.
We hope it is a giant cave. We've established this before on Patreon, where caves can sometimes be massive rather than just one small thing where everyone's huddled watching.
Well, it is enough to hold a gang.
What do river pirates wear compared to the seafaring ones? Are there fabulous hats with feathers?
I would be disappointed if there weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
Any sort of pirate, you've got to have standards.
Swashbuckling.
I feel,
Maybe they are entirely in sequins.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Differentiates them.
It makes them sparkle against the water.
Absolutely. Perhaps it's a different colour hat. Yeah.
Or it's like a trilby. A bowler hat. They all wear bowler hats, but with bigger feathers.
These river pirates, this gang, recognise fellow outlaws in the Harpes, and they take them in. They come and join us. It's a lovely, lovely place to be. But it is a decision they will come to regret. Now, the Mason gang they are themselves known for their brutality and their viciousness. They are not subtle about murdering anyone in sight. But it's only when you've got good reason. I mean, you have shiny things, I want shiny things, murder, I have shiny things.
That's a very good logic.
A valid piratey reason. But the gang are shocked and quite disturbed by the lengths that the Harpes go to. The brothers delight in devising even more fiendish and cruel ways of killing people. One of the new things they discover with their new cave home is that they begin taking their victims to the top of the cliff, forcing them to strip naked, and then pushing them off the cliff.
Oh, good God.
Which is fun. Just with a big pokey stick going, off you go.
Oh, God.
And they fall
it's
to their
proper
death.
torture.
Proper torture. And it's like humiliation. You're
Yeah.
forced to strip naked on top of a cliff. You're seeing terror in people's faces, and then off you go.
Oh, what sadists. Well,
Yeah.
I think we'd established they're sadists.
Well, indeed.
And
Now,
the Mason clan are downstairs and just kind of serving up breakfast. What the hell?
what the
keeps
hell's
happening?
going on here? Now, this does prove too much for the Mason gang.
Yeah.
And they forced the Harps to leave Cave-in Rock. You are not the sort of people we want in our piratey gang.
They got together. There was some sort of committee.
There was definitely, pirate ships and pirates run by committee. And the Harps and their wives and their children are once again nomads making their way back to Tennessee. Now, despite being wanted outlaws, the Harps seem to accelerate their pace of killing. More taste for it now.
Oh, yeah.
They've now found a new thing of pushing people off cliffs. So we need to increase that.
Not subtle.
In the summer of 1798, after leaving the cave, they murder at least a dozen more people on their travels, including children. Some of their victims have their throats slit, others have their skulls sliced open with a tomahawk, and others are killed in their now trademark method, disembowel, stuffed with rocks thrown into a river. Because it's fun.
They like to keep it different. Yeah,
Well, they like to
mix it up.
vary things up a bit, absolutely. In the August of 1798, the Harpe brothers leave their camp to pay a visit to Moses Stiegel, who lives just outside of Dixon, Kentucky. Now, Stiegel owes them a lot of money, and they mean to collect on this. They are in need of cash. When they arrive at the Stiegel farm, Moses is not there. However, thoughtfully, he has left the money he owes with his wife Mary. And when she goes to open her purse to get the money that's owed, full payment, the brothers notice that there's quite a bit more in there.
Oh no,
There's
come
quite
on.
a bit more money in there. Now, it's getting quite late in the day, and they ask Mary if they can stay until morning. Now, this is quite a common occurrence in these parts. It's rural, the next farm is days away, so it's not an uncommon request. And she goes, yeah, absolutely fine. In fact, Mary already has another guest staying that night who was passing through, a Major William Love.
Are you sure that wasn't the guy she was shacked up with? Yeah. Oh, but by coincidence, someone else is
Just
staying
by
over.
entire
He was
coincidence.
passing by. He's naked on the couch. Can we stay too? Yes. I suppose I have to say that now.
Possibly.
Sex night is off.
Well, sex night was definitely off because Micah slept in the same room as Major Love.
And his name was Major Love.
His name was Major Love.
Major Love. And maybe that was just the given name that she had looked up on Tinder. That was
Maybe.
He had
Maybe so.
responded to her ad. So what's your name? Major Love.
Major Love.
Oh, that's wonderful. Where did you fight? In the sex force? So he's in the bed with the guy who's
In the same room. He's not in the same bed. They're in the same room.
Oh no, it was in the same bed. It was in the same bed.
It was in the same bed?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's more. They're just both huddled in the bed, like, yeah, this is fine. All right.
Yeah. But Micah gets rather annoyed by the Major's snoring during the night. Out comes the handy tomahawk.
No.
Off comes the Major's head.
Oh, good God.
The next morning, the Harps wake bright and early, fresh as a daisy, expecting a hearty breakfast. However, Mary tells them she hasn't had time to cook yet. Her infant son is ill and will not stop crying. She has been looking after him, has not had time to cook. Micah persuades Mary to give him the baby.
No.
Why she rustles up something for them for breakfast. He takes the boy to his crib, and soon the child is quiet.
No.
Mary is quite happy by this. She's pottering around in the kitchen and makes the brothers some breakfast. After she goes to check on her son, he is lying in this crib in a pool of blood with his throat slit. When Mary sees her dead son, she screams, obviously, and yells for the Major, not knowing that he too is lying dead in his bed. The Harps stab Mary to death and sit down to finish their breakfast. When they are done, they kick over the wood stove, setting the house alight, and leave. When Moses Stiegel returns to find his home in ash, and the bodies of his murdered wife and child and the visiting Major, he is furious, absolutely enraged, and knows exactly who is responsible. He knew who was coming, and he knew their reputation. Moses leads a gang out to find the Harps, and as they follow the brothers' trail, they come across two more victims.
Oh, God.
On the way. On August the 24th, 1799, the Moses' gang catches up with the Harps, just as they were about to kill yet another person, a settler named George Smith. They order the Harps to surrender, but the Harps try to flee. The gang fire to try and stop their escape, and Wiley is nicked by a bullet, but he manages to evade them and get away.
He's been hit by a lot of stuff.
He's been hit by a lot of stuff, is Wiley, but he's small and quick and nimble and getting away with it. Micah is not so lucky. He gets shot in the spine.
Oy.
He falls to the ground, paralysed from the waist down.
Good.
When the gang get close, he takes out his tomahawk, but he's unable to stand. All he can do is move his arms around, and he is quickly overpowered. The man hold him down, while Moses Stiegel takes his revenge, slowly cutting off Micah's head with his own tomahawk.
Yeah,
You would.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Moses takes Micah's severed head home with him, places it in the branches of a tall tree at the crossroads near his cabin, and that skull stares down at travellers for years,
Wow.
earning the crossroad the nickname Harpe's Head. The rest of Micah's corpse is left out to rot, and the hill is now still known as Harpe's Hill.
Ooh.
After his brother's death, Wiley is left all alone in the world.
Good.
He makes his way back to Cave In Rock and persuades the Mason gang to let him rejoin. It was all Micah. He was the bad influence. I'll toe the line. As long as I get to kill a few people every now and again, it'll be fine. He changes his name to John Sutton, and for 4 years he is a free man, robbing and killing travellers on the river,
as you do.
with his new piratey friends.
Wow.
But he keeps a low profile. But while Wiley was trying to keep a low profile, the gang's leader, Sam Mason, has become one of the most wanted criminals in the US. There is a $2,000 reward on his head, which is a horrendous amount of money, and Wiley senses a way to make a fortune. One day, a raid led by Sam and Wiley goes horribly wrong, and as the two flee, Sam is shot. Now, we do not know if the shot kills him outright, or if Wiley helps him along down the line. Either way, a few days later, Wiley enters a court in Greenville, Mississippi, with another gang member, a chap called Peter Alston, and pulls Sam's severed head from a bag, demanding the reward money.
Whoa. God, bastard.
The identity is confirmed. It is indeed Sam and Mason, and
That's his face.
That's his face. The two are handed the money. Here is $2,000. But at the last moment, just as they are allowed to leave, another man walks in, and he is taken back. He shouts, "That man is Wiley Harpe." Harpe denies it. He claims to, "I am John Sutton," but then a relative of Johnson, the chap who was killed outside the tavern,
Yes.
before hearing the name Wiley Harpe, he says if it is him, he will have a scar beneath his left nipple where
he was
Johnson
stabbed.
stabbed him.
Yeah.
It's checked, and sure enough, there is a scar beneath his left nipple.
Amongst many other scars where he's been
Amongst
stabbed
many,
and
many,
shot.
many other scars. The two are arrested on the spot. They are tried and found guilty and sentenced to death. On February the 8th, 1804, Wiley Harpe and Peter Alston are hung. After they are cut down from the gallows, their heads are removed and placed on poles as a deterrent to all those who might follow in their piratey ways.
Yes.
And it's probably never known just how many people the Harpe brothers killed. At least 39 are known.
Whoa.
Estimates go upward of 50. And that's not including the people they killed in wartime.
Yeah.
And this makes them not only the first serial killers in American history, but two of the very deadliest. Da, da, da.
Yes, that story of the Harpe Brothers.
Harpe Brothers.
Oh my god. So do we know the stories? Did they confess then?
Supposedly, Micah, as his head was being removed,
Oh,
or
okay.
as he was being, well, no doubt as he was being pummeled within an inch of his life,
Tortured, yeah.
he confessed to a number of the things that he had done, and supposedly
Yeah.
what he had done to Mary Stiegel was one of the things which that it encouraged then Moses to act quite so brutally.
Yeah,
in the
boasted
removal of
about
the
it,
head,
maybe.
boasted about what he had done to this man's wife and child, and then
Oh my god, what a gruesome tale.
the horribleness.
What a pair of bastards.
But a complete bastards.
Very high on the bastardometer.
Very high. I think the roof has exploded on the bastardometer.
Yeah, well, it's such a time of, again, you've got a lot of folklore and hearsay about things, and people will embellish stories, but it does sound like that, you know, you can embellish to a point. Also, they just killed a lot of people.
Yes.
But yes, the horrors of, well, in inverted commas, the horrors of war and the excuse for the horrors
Yes.
of war for people who just are, well, okay, let's just let our rampant love of violence run free.
Run free.
Oh, they're horrible. They're horrible.
They were
Oh.
not pleasant people.
You can't even talk about the horrific things, obviously, of killing children, killing innocents. It's just the man who tried to buy them breakfast. I don't know why that's so sad.
It is sad. Such a kindly man trying to take pity on these poor, unfortunate people.
Yeah.
This is where being nice gets you.
Exactly.
Gets
Never
you
buy anyone breakfast.
disemboweled and filled with stones.
You're like, why? I know, the poor women as well.
God, yes.
Echoes of what we talked about on Patreon this week as well. The whole debate of, are you complicit or, Stockholm Syndrome or battered wife syndrome, that you have no choice but to go along with these maniacs. What do you do if you can't beat them, join them? Or do you not have a choice? You've just got to join them and you can't run away as easily because they clearly hold a grudge.
Yes, indeed.
Clearly hold a grudge and are capable of hunting people down. Whoa, what a tale. Well, what do you think, people? Do you know the stories of the Harpe Brothers? Is it a legend that you're familiar with? Is it one that's new to you? Do you know more legends associated with them? Have you been to Harpe Hill? Or is it Harpe Crossroads or Harpe...
Harpe's Head.
Harpe's Head.
Harpe's Head.
That's great.
The
I do
crossroads.
like a head on a crossroads.
Yep, absolutely. What's not?
I've never seen one.
Good. I'm glad.
We don't live in the age of the gibbet,
The
really.
gibbet.
Yes, hanging.
It's a
at the
shame,
crossroads.
really.
I know, exactly. We're also slightly outside of the time we can go to the crossroads and sell your soul to the devil as well to play your guitar real good. That's another story for another time. Yes, what do you think? Tell us if you know more tales and legends associated with the Harpe Brothers. Yeah, America was a godless place.
Lots of stabbing and violence going on.
Stabbing and violence.
Great deal of pointy things.
Well, a great story and a great cocktail that went with that. I'm glad that was nice because that steadied my nerves throughout. Blood from a stone. Now I know what the context is. I'm slightly upset that I drank that so fast, but a delicious concoction. I really, really like that one. That is going on that's going on the roster of things you make me, not that I make you.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. You know how to do this. But yeah, it will be out on Friday, the recipe. So mix one up, mix up different cocktails, and by all means share them on whatever social media channels you are on. Tag us in your posts so that we can share them. We'd love to share more cocktail pictures, and we'd love more inspiration as well. If you're making our cocktails or you're making a new one, tell us about it.
If you want more of our marvellous tales and exciting tellings, come and join us on Patreon. But for about a few dollars a month, you get so many more episodes, and there's lots of crazy discussions and things going on, lots of random episodes, lots of outtakes of me saying very stupid things. What's not to love?
And more to come very soon. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week, and remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Oh.